Bismillah. All right, so we're going to have Ustada Arifa, inshallah, and share her beautiful voice with us with some nasheed and some ayahs from the Quran to get our gathering started. And may Allah bless you and increase you. Without further ado, فَتَفَضَّلْ مَشْكُورًا.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Inshallah, we'll just jump right in. إن الله ملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم صل وسلم يا رسولي صل وسلم 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 الله الله لا إله إلا الله 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 لا إله إلا الله جزاك الله خيرا السلام عليكم
Barakallahu fiki wa jazakallahu khair. Thank you so much. Alhamdulillah, we're back like we never left. طيب إن شاء الله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق والخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق والهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آل حق قدره ومقدار العظيم وبعد. So we last stopped at 16 inshallah. We will start with 17 today. The Musannif, or the author, he said that he who wishes that there appear at any given moment other than what God has manifested in it has not left ignorance behind at all. And the ulama, they say that ignorance is of three types. The first type of ignorance, or the first type of knowledge, or the people are four types rather. So the first type of person is الذي يعرف وهو يعرف ويعرف, is the one who knows and he knows that he knows. The one who knows and he knows that he knows. And this person is an alim. This person is a person that knows, a scholar, and it should be taken from. It's sufficient that you take knowledge from them. The second person is the one الذي يعرف ولا يعرف ويعرف, is the person who knows, but he doesn't know that he knows. He still has some shak or subahat. He still has a little bit of doubt in his knowledge. And this person is a talibul ilm. And it's okay to take knowledge from this person, but it's better to take knowledge from someone who knows. The third category of people is the person الذي لا يعرف وهو يعرف ولا يعرف, is the one who doesn't know, but he knows that he doesn't know. So he's ignorant, but he's aware of his ignorance. So this is not a blameworthy ignorance. This is ignorance, but this is a praiseworthy ignorance. And then the fourth category of people is the one who is ignorant, الذي لا يعرف ولا يعرف ولا يعرف, is the one who doesn't know and he doesn't know that he doesn't know. And this person, this guy is called this jahil murakkab, or compounded ignorance. This is musibah. This is all these people on like your Facebook muftis, your Instagram scholars, your Twitter sheikhs, and everybody who wants to argue religion and argue Aqidah, philosophy, and theology, tell you how to wear your hijab and how you pray, or how your lifestyle is haram, and they haven't studied al-Fatiha correctly. So this is musibah. So they're ignorant and they don't know they're ignorant. So they're in darkness and they're not even aware of their that they're in darkness. So they guide other people towards darkness. So I, as a student, when I first decided to study ilm, I had this idea that I was going to come to Egypt and I was going to learn for a year, and I was going to come to Mufti and come back and teach everybody in Philly their religion. I was going to put, get everybody on the haqq. And I got here and I was like, man, I'm kind of ignorant. I don't know anything. Second year, I'm like, oh, I'm really ignorant. I don't know anything. The third year, oh, I'm super ignorant. So as opposed to like getting knowledge and feeling like I was like, oh, I'm feeling myself. I just been going deeper into my ignorance, coming to a deeper awareness of just how ignorant I am, how vast the ocean of knowledge is, and how I haven't even stepped my foot in the water. So me being aware of my ignorance is actually a mercy, because now I can sit in a gathering and know, Yusuf, you should be quiet. You should ask questions. You should not be answering people. For example, and this is the next book I would like to cover, is the book called Waraqat by Imam al-Juwayni. And it talks about what are the prerequisites for someone to become a scholar or a mufti. So for example, if someone says, what you're doing is haram. You say, well, how do you know what I'm doing is haram? So it says it right there in the Quran. I read the Quran, the Yusuf Ali translation or whatever translation they read. It says this, Allah said this, so it's haram. What that person has then done is giving a fatwa. That's what a fatwa is. That you look at the ayahs of Allah, you look at the nusus, the evidence, and to stambid al-hukm, and you remove a verdict, a legal verdict from the ayah of Quran. Now you're giving a fatwa, bighayd al-haq. So for the one who gives a fatwa without the right, is already sinful. And if you do it, you give a wrong ruling, then you take double sin. It's like lying on Allah. لِمَاذَا تَقُولُونَ عَلَى اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Why do you say about Allah that which you don't know? And the Prophet ﷺ said that whoever lies on me purposely, may he take his seat in the hellfire. So this business of, speaking without knowledge is very, very dangerous. How many people have been turned away from the religion by haram police that don't know their right from their left foot? Is dangerous. So the best thing for you to do, as Imam Malik says, al-ilm, kalima la adri nisfu al-ilm, that to say I don't know is half of knowledge. Somebody came from far away from Andalus, I believe, and asked Imam Malik like a number of questions, like 40 questions. And out of 40, he only answered a number of them. Maybe like this, for for example, like 6 out of 40 questions. The rest of them, he said, La adri. Imam Malik, we're talking about the greatest scholar of Medina that Medina has ever seen. He's like, I don't know. So the man was like, what am I supposed to go back and tell my people? I came all the way here to ask Imam Malik. He said, tell them Imam Malik says he doesn't know. And why was that significant? It's because Imam Malik, he knew that he wasn't going to give a hukam or an Islamic ruling based upon conditions that he never lived in. You never been outside of Kuwait, or outside of Bangladesh, or outside of Pakistan, or outside of Saudi Arabia. Why are you talking about what's going on in California? You don't know the reality of the people. You don't know the tradition, the cultural norms of the people. So if you take a ruling, you're going to put it in the wrong place. And this is why you have so many issues that we have today. We're trying to bring a Mecca in Philadelphia, or trying to bring Medina in Chicago. It doesn't fit. Each city, each place has its own unique circumstances, and the scholars of that land should study those circumstances and then apply the Quran and Sunnah to the conditions of the people. So here he says that he who wishes that there appear at any given moment other than what God manifested in it has not left ignorance behind at all. So what Ibn al-Ta'la Iskandari here is talking about is that you ever sit when something happens and says, man, I wish that this would have happened, or I wish it could have been better, or if only this had happened, then life would have been better. A lot of times we think like that. So he said that he who ever thinks this way, if you have this opinion, then you still have trace of ignorance. You still have trace of jahiliyyah inside of you, because you think that you're your approximation or your idea of what your future or your past should look like is better than how Allah planned it. And that's a trait of ignorance, because Allah, His knowledge encompasses everything. His knowledge encompasses everything. So when Allah decrees a matter, He knows what was, what could have been, what is, what could have been, what will be, and what could have been. And He chooses the best for us. So this is from the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you believe that your knowledge is greater than Allah Ta'ala's knowledge, and your qadr, the way you can plan your life, is better than the way Allah Ta'ala planned it, then that's a sign of ignorance. So 18, he says, your postponement of deeds till the time when you are free is one of the frivolities of the ego. So for example, you have an opportunity to do good, but you delay good. He's saying that this is a work of the shaitan. So sometimes shaitan, he doesn't necessarily come to you and encourage you to not to do haram. If he can't get you to do something sinful or something disobedient to Allah, he'll get you to stop doing good. Okay, I can't get you to fall in the sin, so I get you to stop doing good. I'll get you to stop praying in the masjid, or I'll get you to stop giving sadaqah. And if he can't get you to stop giving sadaqah, he'll get you to delay it. Like, somebody's out there asking for money, and then you reaching into your pocket, and then you have that hesitation, right? So if he can't get you to stop doing khair or stop doing good, then he'll get you to delay good. And the delayance of good is also in the science of tazkiyah, of spiritual purification, is blameworthy. Now, and but in the science of sharia, if you stop doing good, there's no punishment. There's nothing, is disliked, whatever the case may be. But in the science of tazkiyah, of spiritual purification, to delay good, it's a sign of the ego, that the ego is in control, that the nafs is in control. So your postponement of these till the time when you are free is one of the frivolities of the ego. So meaning that, as it says in the ayah, "Kul inna salati wa nusuki wa mahyaya wa mamati lillahi rabbil alameen." Could say that my sacrificing, that my living and my dying and my prayer and everything is for Allah, lillahi rabbil alameen. So there's no such thing as when I'm free. I'm gonna pray when I'm free. I'm gonna give sadaqah when I'm free. I'm gonna make umrah when I'm gonna make hajj when I find free time. In actuality, you and everything that you have belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So everything is Allah's time. So if you operate against that model, then it's a sign that your ego is in control. 19. He says, do not request him to get you out of a state so as to make use of you in a different one. For when he for were he to desire so, he could make use of you as you are without taking you out. SubhanAllah. And this is something I've struggled with personally, which is being a vessel, being a person that communicates a traditional or sacred knowledge, which is in and of a sense that we have a thing where if someone begins to teach you about the religion, you put yourself in a position to get called out. When people say, oh, how dare you tell me about this ayah of Quran, or tell me about the tradition of the Prophet when you did this, or you were doing this, right? And if you aren't doing something now that's blameworthy, they'll call you out for something you did 10 years ago, or 5 years ago, or 20 years ago. People can be very unforgiving in this way, that when they can't, see any blemishes in your present or in your future, they'll talk about your past. So someone who's delivering or communicating about the spiritual tradition, you'll get called out. Like, listen, who are you? How dare you talk about this when you did this, or you have these traits or weaknesses or blemishes within your own character? So someone would say, I don't want to teach Islamic knowledge. I don't want to give reminders to people. I don't want to be engaged in da'wah because people are going to, I'm not perfect. An idea, who's perfect? Even the Sahaba, they're ma'asum, Allah Ta'ala is pleased with them, but they weren't perfect. They made a lot of mistakes. If you were to read the seerah of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, some of the things that happened during and after the time of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, you wouldn't even believe. Things such as, mashallah, I don't want to get into it now, but we have some serious things in our tradition that they were human. What I mean to say, they were human beings, and they made human mistakes. Many of the social ills, if not all of the social ills that we find in any modern city, was present in Medina. You had prostitution, you had brothels, you had bars in Medina. You had people, you had murderers in Medina. You had pedophiles in Medina. You had all of that present. So I say that to say that to be easy with yourself and to not think that you have to be a perfect person before you stand up and invite people to good. Rather, if Allah wants to make use of you, He will make use of you just as you are, where you are. He will meet you where you are. And sometimes Allah even uses His enemies, the enemies of Islam, to propagate al-Islam. This is the Sunnah of Allah. If Allah wants a matter done, it doesn't matter who you are, where you are. Allah will use you as a vessel and use you to guide people to His truth. So the idea is it's not about you, rather it's about truth. So wherever you are, whatever your condition is, whatever your state is, whatever your opinion of yourself is, it doesn't matter because you belong to Allah. So if Allah wants to use you, He will use you. So don't say, oh, I'm going to wait until I'm a sinless person, until I'm a saint, and then I'm gonna tell people about what I learned in class. Nah, absolutely not. And that's dangerous because you're gonna live like that your entire life and you won't engage in good, because now you're putting your fear of people over your fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in this work, you have to have very thick skin. You have to have very thick skin. I received a long message maybe 2 days ago from someone who said that I used to really dislike you. You know, I didn't like you. I heard something about you and I really disliked you. I never even know you. But now I'm asking your forgiveness because I said some things about you and I spread some things about you and I knew they weren't true, things I just heard. So I asked your forgiveness. And somebody I didn't even know, like I never met in my life, if I'd have seen them on the street, I would have been able to recognize them. But because you put yourself in a public spotlight, you're inviting to good, you become a target. So you have to have very thick skin and really constantly direct yourself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because sometimes it's not always untrue. Sometimes you may have an issue. You put yourself in the spotlight, people call you out. Yo, no, I know that you have this issue. What are you going to do about it? No, you rectify that issue. Listen to people. If it's true, rectify. If it's not true, leave it with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because there's not a single ayah in the Quran that says, I want you to be perfect. Allah never said that. I want you to be perfect. Allah said, try. And if you make a mistake, try over again. And if you fall, get up and try again. And if you fall, get up and try again. And I love those who do that. Allah Ta'ala says, "Inna Allah yuhibbu tawabin." Right? And it's this tense that the verb was in is called fi'l mudari, which is a continuous verb. So Allah says He loves those who make tawbah constantly, over and over and over and over again. So a person who makes tawbah or makes repentance over and over again, it means they're constantly making mistakes over and over and over again. Allah says He loves those people, not just they're okay. Now you okay with me? Like I ain't gonna punish you. No, I love those who make mistakes and they constantly return to me, because in those mistakes, it gives you humility. It makes you trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It said that the ulama said that I would rather have a sin. I would rather commit a sin that makes me humble before Allah than to have righteous actions that make me arrogant. I can't stand super religious people. People that are holy, I can't, holier than thou people that just got it all together. I cannot stand them. I got some people in my life right now that just are perfect Muslims that never made a mistake in their life, and they just go around judging everybody and their mama. I can't stand them because it's hypocrisy. And were Allah to expose you, you would be in trouble. As one of the scholars says, if sins had a stink, nobody would stay next to each other. But it's for by the mercy of Allah that He covers all of us and He doesn't allow people to see our true realities. So if Allah does that for you, then mind your business. Don't go around judging people and belittling people's journey. You don't know what that person is going through, where they came from, and where they still have to go. As the Prophet ﷺ said that Allah loved Umar when he was worshiping idols. So you never know. A person may worship idols today and tomorrow it may be Umar ibn Khattab, or they may be walking in his path. We're not going to have another Umar, but mashallah, we got people that can be like him. So 20, hardly does the intention of the initiate want to stop at what has been revealed to him, then the voices of reality call out to him. That which you are looking for is still ahead of you. And hardly to the exterior aspects of created beings display their charms, then the inner realities call out to him. We are only a trial, so disbelieve not. So I read that again. Hardly does the intention of the initiate want to stop at what has been revealed to him. Then the voices of reality call out to him. That which you are looking for is still ahead of you. So now we're talking about here, the initiate is the person who is a salik, the person who is begin traversing the spiritual path. As we mentioned before, the Islam or the religion or the deen has three different components. Excuse me. The first component is the component of iman or aqidah, your belief system. So a person should have a sound belief to know who Allah is, who God is. Before you worship Him, before you obey Him, you know who your God is, who your Creator is, what are His attributes, what pleases Him, what displeases Him. So you have an intimate relationship with your Creator. And this is why the Prophet ﷺ, he taught Tawheed for 13 years. He taught about the reality of God for 13 years before he commanded the people to pray. Because why are you going to pray when you don't know who you're praying to? Many of us, we have this issue. We're taught to pray before we taught who God is. So the second is that it's fiqh, needs of rules and regulations, do's and don'ts. But once you have a relationship with God, it's like, man, I know who God is. If God doesn't want me to do this, because I know who He is, I know He wants good for me, I know He's kind, I know He's merciful, I know He's just, I don't have a problem with following His rules and regulations because I know they're best for me. And the last pillar is ihsan, is the spiritual purification. Okay, I know God, I know the rules and regulations are good for me, but I don't want to do it. I just don't want to do it. I'm lazy. I don't like to do it. You know, I would rather be doing my own thing, the ego. So how do you conquer the ego? So those are the three branches. So now for a person who's beginning this last pillar, this last tazkiyah or purification, for the initiate, as you are walking, your voices are going to tell you, hey, I should just stop at what Allah asked me to do. Allah asked me to pray. I'm just going to pray 5 times a day. Allah didn't say I have to pray more than 5 times a day. Allah only said I have to go to Jummah, I'm only going to go to Jummah. That's it. Allah only said I have to go to Hajj, I'm only going to go to Hajj one time if I can afford the money. In fact, I'm going to try to make less money so I can't afford to go to Hajj, so I don't have to go. I'm only going to do exactly what Allah asked me to do. I'm not going to do more than that. So the Shaykh is saying here, what you're looking for is still ahead of you. The reality is that there's still more work that needs to be done. Because if you want to be a friend of God, is to not only do what He asks you to do, but to also do what He loves. It's like any relationship. It's like, you know, some people are in relationships and marriages, whatever the case may be, friendships, business relationships, where they say, listen, I'm only going to do exactly what my boss asked me to do. I'm not going to do no more. I'm not going to do no extra. He asked me to submit 5 papers. I'm only going to submit 5 papers, 4.5 papers. But someone that wants to exceed or that wants to do better, if you're going to overperform, you're going to over deliver, under promise and over deliver. And once you do that, this is when you develop the quality of ihsan, of perfection. If someone expects one thing for you, you give them 2, you give them double, triple, quadruple, and Allah Ta'ala is most deserving of that. So it says, for the one who's traversing, don't just stop at what's in front of you. No, there's something that's far beyond just the everyday acts of worship. There's something greater than that, and that's the acts of Sunnah, and even greater than that. It said that the person who's a taqi, who has taqwa, they even leave off things that are haram in fear that they may fall into that are halal, in fear of falling into the haram. It's like a next level. Something may be permissible for you, but because it may lead you into something elsewhere indirectly, you just leave it alone. So isn't it said, hardly to the exterior aspects of created beings display their charms, that their inner realities call out to them, we are only a trial for you, so disbelieve not. So they said that, so while you're traversing the path also, you're going to see that the dunya, that things in the worldly life, it calls to you, it's alluring. As Allah Ta'ala said, زُيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ حُبُّ الشَّهَوَاتِ مِنَ النِّسَاءِ وَالْبَنِينَ, that Allah Ta'ala has beautified, زُيِّنَ, beautified this worldly life. It makes it appealing, makes it glorious, makes it glamorous, makes it seem like it's popping, like it's never ending, but in actuality it's going to end. So the reality is that it is only a fitna, it's only a trial. I'm going to read maybe a few more, and I want to just have some dialogue, inshallah, with you and here, you know, because these are some heavy things. Perhaps I'll just pause here really quickly, and I'd like to hear from you. Any feedback about any of the ones that we read so far. These are really heavy, and like if a person was just to master one of these, I'm talking like monumental changes in your life. So perhaps if you're down to share, you can just unmute yourself, or you can type in the chat, inshallah, and we can have some dialogue around what we're covering. Yes. There we go. My chat is so ghetto. I'm trying to get to the bottom and see if there's any new messages, and it's not working. Okay. Did anybody type in the chat that I missed anything? Okay, here it is. Excellent. Okay, I did not. Okay. Would anybody like to share, inshallah, before we move on? Any points, any insights, any aha moments? Yeah. So if someone were to start studying Islam, it's best to start from Tawheed instead of fiqh. That's a very good point. That's a very good point, yes. You should start, the scholars have different ways of teaching. Like, so, for example, in the Maliki school, you have the Risala of Sidi Ahmed Zaruq, no, Abi Zayd al-Qirawin, actually. And what he did was he started the book with a little bit of Aqidah. And also in the Ibn Ashir, Murshid Mu'in, which is like a very beautiful poem about what every single Muslim must know. He also started it with Aqidah. So I would say, yes, a person should just have preliminary, just a basic understanding of Aqidah before they get into fiqh. It's like, not deep. You don't have to be Jimmy Neutron, and know like everything, and know every ruling, and know, but just to have a decent understanding of 90s babies understand the Jimmy Neutron reference. I don't, if you ain't catch that, you ain't catch that. You don't have to know everything, but you just have to have a basic understanding of who Allah is. What does Allah want from me? What are my responsibilities to Allah? You have that understanding. So they say it's 3 categories of Aqidah. It says, Ma yajibu lillah, what must be known about Allah. Like, what is the attributes that must be known? Ma yastahil, what is impossible to be from the attributes of Allah, wa ma yajuz, and what's possible to be from the attributes of Allah. So yes, a person should know Aqidah. Just a little bit of Aqidah, sufficient, and then they can go into studying fiqh. And fiqh is a must, because all of the questions that Allah is going to ask on the Day of Judgment, it has to do with fiqh, about your time and how you spent your time, your money and how you spent your money, about your prayer, about how you dealt with people. All of that has to do with fiqh. And the issue with even marriage, like sometimes, people bring, situations from their marriage, and I'm like, yo, based upon what you're telling me, you're not even married. Like, based upon the situation, you didn't even conduct the marriage properly. Or people would divorce their spouses, or divorce their husbands, divorce their wives by way of their actions, what they're saying they do, and they don't even know. So we don't know the fiqh of marriage. We don't know the fiqh of divorce. We don't know the fiqh of business. We don't know the fiqh of studying, the fiqh of prayer, the fiqh of wudu, and all of these things. So it's dangerous to not know, to operate without knowledge. So the scholar says, إِيَّاكَ أَن تَفْعَلْ شَيْءٍ قَبْلَ أَن تَعْرِفْ حُكْمَ اللَّهِ فِيهِ. That it says that you should be aware of doing something before you know the ruling of God in it. You should know what God says in this, what Allah and His Prophet said in it, before you do anything. So fiqh is very, very essential. And that's why I chose to study fiqh in Al-Azhar, the College of Sharia, because that's what Allah loves. That's what Allah wants. And then after that, once you have an understanding of fiqh, you can go on to tazkiyah. But again, you don't have, the book is very small, called Murshid Mu'in. Maybe I'll type it in the chat. You can read that book cover to cover, and then give you a roundabout knowledge of all you need to know. He started with Aqidah and went all the way to Tazkiyah, Imam Ibn Ashir. It's a very good book. So next question is, the wisdom about delaying good deeds stuck with me. I heard once that the procrastination is also an indicator of pride, assuming Allah will give you time. Makes me realize that being productive makes us better Muslims. This is very true. Somebody said to me today, the taxi driver, he was like, we were talking about something. He's like, listen, I don't want to hear about that. He said, I dedicate an hour for God and an hour for my heart. So meaning that, he prayed Juma already. The rest of his day, he can live in haram. He can do whatever you want to do. He said, an hour for my God, an hour for my heart. So I said, okay, I can accept that, right? But what if you die in an hour for your heart? What happens? He said, no, inshallah, I won't die. Inshallah, I won't die. Like, you're never going to die? Khalas, then. Live. You can live your best life. As the Prophet said that if you don't have any shyness, if al-ma shit. If you don't have any shyness, if you don't have any shyness, then do as you please. Do whatever you want to do. If you don't have any shyness, live your best life. Do whatever you want to do if you don't have any shyness before Allah, because there's going to come a day where Allah is going to question you for what you do. So delaying good deeds is never a good thing that we should rush. If Allah puts in your heart to do it, you should rush and get it done quickly. I have a friend, Ibrahim, who whenever the time for salat comes, prayer comes, he's like crazy. He can't think, he can't talk, he can't eat, he can't do nothing until he prays. Then he calms down. He's like, all right, now what we're talking about. But once the adhan goes off, he's like majnoon. And they said the Prophet used to be the same way. When he heard the adhan, he was out. Like, he didn't want to hear nothing else, no talk, no small talk. Don't feed me, don't invite me nowhere. I'm going to prayer because I'm going to talk to God. So I pray that we can be like this. One of my friends, Mustafa Atif, he was giving a lecture here. He's also a Saudi graduate. And he was talking about the way that we deal with prayer. And it made me feel like a hypocrite because he said that the Sahabas, when they prayed, it was like the dearest thing in the world to them. Like when they prayed, it felt like, like this is the thing I've been waiting for my whole day. I could not wait for this prayer to come. It's like, even like as prayer was coming, they would be sitting waiting for prayer time. And they would say, Bilal, the Prophet would say, yeah, Bilal, like, give us peace with the adhan. Like, what took you so long? Yeah, Bilal. We've been waiting to talk to God all day. But I know for some of us, man, prayer time is like, here come Dhuhr, here come Asr, here come Maghrib. Oh my God, here come Fajr. Like, like, man, I gotta pray now. And some of us praying all 5 prayers at the same time a day, but alhamdulillah, we praying, we trying our best. But the paradigm is that prayer should be like the sweetest thing to you. Like, I can't wait to talk to my beloved because Allah is waiting for us. Like, really, Allah yearns to speak to us. He yearns for us to speak with him in conversation. So for us, it's like, man, how somebody wants to talk to you real bad, you want to talk to him, and you leave him on read in the DMs, like, man, I don't even want to talk to you, man. Like, gotta have this conversation with you. Irking, right? Prayer shouldn't be like that. We shouldn't treat Allah like this, Aggie person that's in the DMs is waiting to talk to us. Like, Allah, we should be, like even before the adhan comes and we will do ready, we making dhikr, we waiting to talk to Allah. So when he said that, I was like, subhanAllah, that's deep. That's deep. So may Allah allow us to accomplish that. Tell you, so that's a good point. So let's go back, inshallah, if there's nothing else.
Assalamu alaikum.
To the wisdom. So he said, number 21, I believe. Are we at 21? Get me right, let me see. Oh yeah, yes, we are. He says, you're requesting him is suspecting him. You're seeking him is due to your absence from him, and you're seeking someone else's because your immodesty toward him. You're requesting someone else's on account of your distance from him. So the first thing is, okay, bismillah. We have someone trying to speak. I think Sana's. Okay, where are you?
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Did you go? Bismillah.
I just got a question. I didn't receive the PDF from the book.
Oh. Okay, please write your email in the chat, inshallah, and I'll send you the book.
Okay, and
Not right now.
and where can I watch? Can I watch the last session from last week because I was ill and I just missed that.
Yeah, so you didn't miss anything last week. I myself was ill, so we were sick together. So there was no class last week.
Oh, so okay.
Yeah.
Thank
and
you.
I hope you weren't one of those students like, man, I'm sick. I hope my teacher gets sick so I don't have to come to class. And it was because of you that was all jammed up.
Alhamdulillah, everyone is fine.
I know I do. I have a class every morning at like 7 a.m. A grammar class, a Nahu class, and morphology. So sometimes I don't do my homework. I'm like, I pray, let my teacher be late, let him oversleep so I can do my homework quick. And sure enough, he come on time every time at 7 a.m. and I gotta explain why I didn't do my homework. May Allah have mercy. So alhamdulillah, you didn't miss anything. The PDF is in the group. Someone just posted it in the chat, the PDF.
Jazakallah khair.
Anyway, yeah. So you're requesting him is suspecting him. You're seeking him is due to your absence from him. So it's saying that you're requesting him is suspecting him. Is that it's like you're suspicious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What are you saying here? So it's like you know, in a sense, for the person who's asking for something, they're making dua, but in the back of their mind, they don't really think that their dua is gonna happen. Like, I'm gonna pray just to haphazardly make dua, just to say I did it. But in their mind, they already know, or they already believe that Allah isn't gonna answer their prayer. So they're already preparing themselves to be rejected. It's dangerous. It's like you ask someone like, listen, man, I know you're not gonna give me $5, but can I borrow $5? Like, just by you saying that, is like you're suspecting me. Like, why would you even say that? Now, because you said that, I'm not gonna give it to you, because you don't believe in me. So it's like to request in this way is like, I don't really believe that you're gonna give it to me, but I'm gonna ask you anyway to prove myself right. So there's a kind of arrogance that comes along with that. Rather, if you make dua, you should be certain. What are examples of making demands other than please, other than him? Okay. Sorry, I'm coming to that, inshallah. Was that a part of this one? We're seeking someone. You're seeking someone else because your mind, you're requesting someone else is an account of where did that come from? Your examples of making demands other than him is to ask Allah, is to ask other people for anything that you should ask Allah for. Like I said, we recite in the Fatiha every day. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. You only do we seek. You only do we worship. You only do we seek for help. So the reality is, if you're going to ask someone for anything, you should ask Allah first. One of the Sahaba says that even if I lost my camel, I will look for how to find my camel in the Quran. So they would rely on Allah for everything. And this is one of the people Allah said He loves is tawakkul, like those people who depend on Allah for everything, anything, the littlest thing, something you may consider insignificant, man. I'm taking it to God. You know, I'm going to ask Allah about it. Littlest things like what I'm gonna eat today. Oh, Allah, help me figure out what to eat today because you know what's best for me. Like everything, I rely on Allah for everything. Iyyaka na'budu. Like I don't worship nobody but you. Wa iyyaka nasta'in. I don't depend on, I don't rely on, I don't ask anybody but you. And if you want to know the reality of this wisdom, look at the story of Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam. When Allah asked him, Ya Musa, what do you have in your hand? Sayyidina Musa had a staff in his hand. He said, oh, I have my staff. And he said, I use it for, herding my sheep and to fend off wolves and things that want to eat my sheep and things of this nature. Allah Ta'ala told Sayyidina Musa, throw it down. And when he threw it down, the staff became a snake. One of the wisdoms the scholar says is that Allah didn't want Musa to rely on anything, not even a staff. If you're my prophet, you're my friend, don't even lean on, don't rely on the staff. Don't even use a cane. I don't care how old you are. Lean on God. You 60 years old, 70 years old, just be walking down the street like, God got me. I'm leaning on God. God gonna get me through. Right? So don't even lean on anything. Don't rely on anything, but rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you will find Allah sufficient for you. That's me when the Wi-Fi or Netflix is down, and my dad will say, stop making dua about such things. No, Allah knows this Wi-Fi in Egypt is janky. Allah, please get me right, because I can't do it. What the Christians say, won't he do it? Sometimes, man, the Christians, they be having like some Aqidah that we need to learn, man, little aphorisms. Won't he do it? My God is able. They be speaking truth in that gospel music. I ain't say I listen, but I'm just saying. Somebody told me, my cousin and them be listening, and they informed me that gospel music, some of it is true. Right? I ain't trying to get canceled, but I'm just saying, my God is able. Right? Go tell it on the mountain. Go tell it. Don't tell Allah how big the mountain is. Tell the mountain how big Allah is, how great Allah is. Right? So take take all your problems to Allah. Because sometimes you'll have issues and you'll go to your friend or your parent issues, and they got more issues than you have. They hear you. Sometimes you tell your friends about your issues, and they're like, damn, man, I thought my life was bad. I'm really love. Like, they got worse. They got worse than me. They start feeling good about themselves. So they don't even give you any solutions. So really rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Trust in Allah, and Allah will never, ever, ever let you down. Inna Allah la yukhliful mi'ad. Allah says that I never break promises. I never, ever, ever break my promises, ever. So trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And your seeking Him is due to your absence from Him. So if you're seeking God, you're asking people, what you doing? Man, I'm looking for God. I'm looking for Allah. So akhi, if you're looking for Allah, that means that you're absent from Him. You don't know Allah. Because if you knew Allah, you would know that Allah is present. Allah mawjood. He never left you to begin with. So what you looking for? Allah been with you. Allah knows you. He hears you. He sees you. Closer than your jugular vein. What are you looking for Allah for? Allah already is with you. And His knowledge and his sight and His hearing. He knows you better than you know yourself. So we don't have to go looking for God. Rather, Allah is present. They asked one of the students, Hassan al-Basri, he asked the students, he gave them an item. He said, I want you to hide this item where nobody will ever be able to find it. So all of his students, they went and they hid their items in the place, and they all came back except one of them. So they went looking for the student, and they found him all throughout the night walking. So they said, what happened to you, man? Like, what's your problem? We asked you to hide your item and come back. He said, I couldn't find a place to hide this item where Allah didn't see it. So he didn't come back. And that's his deep, intimate understanding of Allah. There's nowhere you can hide from Allah. Allah knows and sees you. 22. And you're seeking someone else is because of your immodesty toward Him. No, you don't have to rely on anyone. So it's disrespectful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you have issues and you carry your issues to someone else. You're requesting someone else on account of your distance from Him. And if you ask someone else, it means that you're distant from Allah Azza wa Jal. 22. Not a breath do you expire, but a decree of destiny makes it go forth. So there's not a single breath that you breathe except that Allah decreed it, except that Allah wrote it down for you. So does that mean it's wrong to confide in friends and family? No. You find in Sayyidina Yaqub, when his son Yusuf alayhi salam was taken, he cried. He was sad. He was miserable, Sayyidina Yaqub. And he told his sons, don't get it. I don't want you to get it mistaken. I'm talking right now. I'm grieving, but I'm complaining to Allah. Y'all hear me talking, but I ain't talking to you. I'm talking to Allah. So yeah, you can speak. You can talk to people, confide in people, because it's natural, it's a human thing, but talk to Allah first. Say, what is it? As to pray istikhara, and then, to ask Allah for khair first, and then you get nasiha from people. You ask people for advice. But it's not as soon as something goes wrong, the first thing you do is you run to people and you tell them your sad story, and they can't do nothing for you or to begin with. So the first thing the Prophet ﷺ used to do whenever he had a trial or tribulation, he would run, like literally run, istishara wal istikhara. Thank you so much. They go hand in hand. He would run to salah, he would run to prayer. So you should do that first before you go to anybody. Ask anybody for money, ask anybody for help. Ask anybody for, so I saw something really beautiful today. There was a blind man. These past few days, we've been really engaged and in tune to helping people less fortunate, poor, orphans, and things of this nature. So we saw this man, he was a blind man, and he had 2 children. He couldn't see, he was on the street begging. And he was on the street just making dhikr, blind, just like this, making his dhikr. And his daughters, they were just sitting there. So my friend, he gave the man some money. And he actually gave it to his daughter, and his daughter went and she put it in like a little bag. And I was thinking, subhanallah, here's this man, he can't even see. He don't even know what you're giving him. All he's doing is pulling his dhikr like, man, Allah got me. Even if you give it to me, I don't even know, I can't even see it. So all I know is I'm gonna pull these dhikr beads and Allah gonna take care of the rest. And I thought that was so beautiful that when you trust in Allah, Allah will never ever let you down. So yeah. And it's difficult for us though, we live in this world where, we believe in the tangible things that we can see. So do not, number 23, do not look forward to being free of alterities, for that is indeed what cuts you off from vigilant attention to him in that very state he's assigned to you. So it's talking about here alter realities in the sense that wherever you are, what Allah wants us to do is be present. So many times we never fully live in the state that we're in that if you, wherever your connections is with Allah, wherever you find yourself, your level of your level of iman, your level of belief, stay there, be present there. Understand what Allah is trying to teach you. What's the wisdom? How can you benefit from that state in which you're in? Learn the lessons and then try to move forward. But every time, like before you even completed the level that you're in, you're trying to get to the next level. And that's going to busy you from learning the lessons. So if you fall short, if you commit a sin or whatever the case may be, or you have a spiritual illness or a shortcoming, whatever, stay there, understand it, overcome it, work, exercise that behavior, empower yourself, and then move forward. But don't sit there and think, man, like I could be better, I could do better. I know I could be a better person. You're sitting there, you're thinking so much that you never actually begin to live the reality. You're thinking about external realities, alter realities, live in the reality that you're in. And that's what dhikr helps with. Dhikr helps you to be present. It helps you to be mawjood. It helps you to remember that you are present, that you're here right now. And this is the benefits of dhikr. 24, and we'll stop at 25, inshallah ta'ala. So as long as you are in the world, be not surprised at the existence of sorrows, for truly it manifests nothing but what is in keeping with the character or its inevitable nature. Allah, I put together a dhikr for this class today. Can I give a little part of it for the end? Of course you can. No, I'm not. Barakallahu feeki. I'm always down for some dhikr. So as long as you are in the world, be not surprised at the existence of sorrows. Man, if you read the Quran and it talks about the dunya, like right? It talks about like the dunya is a place that is trials and tribulations. It is test after test. But we always get surprised when bad things happen. Like, man, why is bad things happening in the world? The dunya itself comes from the word lowly, adana, dunya. It's like a lowly state. This is why it says in Surah Al-Baqarah, are you going to choose that which is lowly over that which is khair, that which is better for you? And the akhirah is better for you, and is everlasting. So dunya is a place that its inherent nature is going to be tests and tribulations. If you're living this life and you have no issues, you're just living your best life, you have no trials and tribulations, know that the good is a test for you. Allah doesn't only test you with like painful tests. Sometimes Allah will test you by giving you things, by giving you a great life, a plush life, luxurious life. You live your best life, you think, man, like, I'm good. But really, that's a test from Allah. Allah will give you money to see if you'll be stingy. He'll give you good health to see if you'll use your health in his ibadah. He'll give you children to see if you will choose your children over Allah. He'll give you, these opportunities to see that if your opportunities will busy you from Allah. So not always Allah will test you in ways of hardship. Sometimes He tests you in ways of good as well. So to be very mindful of that. So dunya is a place you're going to be tested in dunya. So be vigilant and attention to Him in every state. For truly it manifests nothing, but is in keeping with His character or His inevitable nature. So the character of dunya is inevitable nature is going to test you. And they say that dunya is like a woman that nobody divorces, but dunya divorces everybody. Nobody wants to let go of dunya except the few, but people die trying to hold on to dunya. I just need a little bit more. And dunya is like, I'm done with you. On to the next. Toxic relationship. So the last one, no search pursued with the help of your Lord remains at a standstill, but any search pursued by yourself will not be fruitful. Deep. And this is why it's talking about like a journey. Anything you pursue, any intention that you have, it shall always begin with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Ma bada'a Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim fa mubarak. That whatever begins with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, you will find it blessed. So if you have any initiative, whether it's a business endeavor, whether it's a romantic relationship, whether it's a friendship, whether it's a school, educate, whatever you start with, you should start with trusting in Allah, praying to Allah, praying istikhara, getting advice, asking Allah to guide you first, praying on it, giving sadaqah so Allah opens the way up, and then you start. Because whenever you pursue something with Allah's help, it will never remain at a standstill. But whenever you start to do something on your own, it will never be fruitful. So this is sufficient, inshallah ta'ala, for today. If there's any questions, we can get into some Q&A. If not, we have a dhikr, inshallah. Nazeen is going to share with the class, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Yes, so this is some heavy stuff. Like, just one of the wisdoms itself can be expanded into a whole class. It's like deep life lessons. We go over them really fast, but I hope that everyone can sit on them and reflect upon what the Imam is saying, because these are things that make us miserable in life. We struggle with these things. For that reason, it makes our life miserable because we don't trust in Allah. We're depending on ourselves, depending on other people. These are the things that makes life really difficult for us. So if there's no questions, inshallah ta'ala, we're going to move forward, inshallah. With some dhikr.
Rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I was just thinking earlier, alhamdulillah, and I was like, I'm just gonna put a little something together. Yeah, thank you for this opportunity.
Bismillah.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أغلق والخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق والهادي إلى صراط المستقيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا رب العالمين اشرح لنا صدرنا ويسر لنا أمرنا وفك العقدة من لسانا يفقه قولنا يا رب العالمين. As we gather here, O Allah, I ask you to bless our tongue to only utter words of love and not spew words of hatred towards ourselves and the likes of others, to not eat the flesh of our brothers and sisters through speaking of them without their presence, to not use the tongue we enunciate the words of Allah with to curse others or spew malice towards others. May we all gain hidayah, and I ask Allah, zidna ilma wa zil al-fahishata min lisana ya Rabbil Alameen. Oh Allah, bless and purify the hands that we work with, the hands that we worship with, the hands that we raise up to the clouds to make dua with, the hands we touch the earth with in prostration. May Allah purify these hands to not use them for evil, but for good towards ourselves and those around us. May Allah purify our minds and the conditions of our hearts. May He remove the sickness from our hearts and deter us from evil, only to engulf us into goodness. May Allah increase us with knowledge of the haqiqah, the truth, knowledge of the inward, knowledge of the sciences of our own hearts, because enlightenment or haqiqah is when a wave realizes it's the ocean. May we realize our own ocean of capabilities. May Allah give us the spirit of discernment in approaching others, but also in approaching our own selves, in approaching situations in our lives, and upholding our own statutes of accountability. اللهم طهر قلبي من الغل والحقد والحسد والكبر. O Allah, purify my heart from hatred, resentment, jealousy, arrogance. May we finally understand our worth in His eyes, our worth in this life, understand that He wouldn't have created us and blown life into us had He not known our intrinsic purpose. For He makes no mistakes, for the mere questioning of our existence is a direct jab at His creation, and He only makes the most beautiful of creations. For He molded us from mud and blown into us like a glass blower blows into a molten glass as the final step in His creation. The only difference between the two is that Allah makes no mistakes. Allah makes no mistakes. Alhamdulillah, qula qawli hadha, and at this point, I'll return it back to Ustad Yusuf. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Barakallahu fiki. MashaAllah, you never cease to amaze us. Beautiful dua, beautiful words. Some people inherently, Allah, gifts them with a way with words. And I was speaking to a companion of mine today. Sometimes it's ilham. Like you say things, and what you're saying is greater than even you as a person, or things that you couldn't even come up with your own. Rather, that the angels will whisper inspiration to your ear for you to say the things that you're saying, and it impacts people in a great way. So I ask Allah Ta'ala to increase you in that. And I don't know if you're writing books or you're writing speeches. You need to, get on the Biden team and start writing his speeches for somebody, inshallah, because you're lit. So may Allah increase you. May Allah love you and bless you all. And I'll see you next week. بإذن الله تعالى. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.